Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in X, presented by Crushing Comics. I'm your host, Crisis with a K, and I have assembled my X-friends and X-fans from around the globe, Harry, Tyler, and Fariha today, to talk about Wolverine number 11. It was out on the 14th of April, 2021. Per usual, our conversation comes with a warning, which is that this is full spoilers. We're going to talk about all the details of this issue, other issues out in this Age of Krakoa, and other events in the Marvel Universe as well. For Wolverine number 11, to get us started, we'll do a lightning round of reactions before we dig in, starting with Tyler.
I'm really just bored by this story, and I'm not the least bit invested in it at all. It felt out of place during this era, and like throughout the issues, I have a lot of questions which took me out of the story constantly. So I'm just going to give it 1.5 baby big mutants out of 5.
Harry, what was your initial reaction for Wolverine number 11?
Have you guys done anything fun this weekend? I saw Godzilla if you want to talk about it. No, man, there's like almost nothing to say. Like, it's about the friggin' vampires still, and it somehow is felt like too short and never ending at the same time. I can't believe we're still here. The Eaton art is fine. I didn't hate it. I like the art, I guess. I just can't believe we're still doing this. Like, life is so short, and I can't believe that like this is how people are spending it. And I don't know. You know what? I guess like a little bit more like in-depth analysis is this story is playing the vampires way too straight. I think Jason Aaron is introduced this vampire nation, played it a slightly goofier. I think that was better. But yeah, I'm giving this a 1. I don't buy this, anyone.
Harry, it's causing Harry to have an existential crisis. Why are we even here?
Who am I? Why are these the choices I made to buy this book?
Oh my
It's okay.
goodness. All right, Fariha?
Sure. I mean, plans died to make this book happen, so we have to talk about it a little bit.
You're right. It's a crime against God and nature.
Yeah, there was like a lot. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there is like it's a theme. I was thinking about it more in the theme of like how Children of the Vault, and then this one is like now there are other nations who are trying to follow the footstep of mutant in order to make their own nation. So that was kind of interesting. And then it's like, oh, and now mutants have become the oppressor in a way of shutting them down. So there's something to be talked about from that point of view. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it would have been better if I was just reading it in a whole arc in a way, and then it's just a Wolverine story, and that would have been fine. But otherwise, sure, whatever. I mean, I did not like a lot of things over here, and that's just me coming from me as a Wolverine. And honestly, after I read this, I actually sold 2 of his omnibus because I'm like, I don't want.
Wow.
Like,
Fariha's not messing around. She's like, you've won. You get the cut if you're your issue.
Like, yeah, exactly. I just went and sold 2 of the Jason Aaron omnibuses because I'm like, I don't care for this anymore.
I guess this book convinced you to make healthy financial choices, so you got that going.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm planning on buying some wholesome books with those. So in a way, yeah. So I don't know. Whatever. Sure. It's something that exists.
So here's a list of things that I enjoy in life. Vampires. I love vampires. Paris. I'm like a little obsessed with Paris. Cool data pages from Sage, the living computer. Love that. Scott Eaton's art I usually really dig, all the way back from X-Men Legacy. He's more recently, but he did some Titan stuff for DC. Dracula. It's the first book I ever read as like a 6-year-old. I read like a kid's abridged version of Dracula. All things I love. And yet, this issue, which features all of those things that I love, I couldn't remember any of it. Like, I went back to read it again to make notes. I think maybe some of the pages were blank. I don't know. There's just nothing. Oh, Vampire Slayers. I also love Vampire Slayers, Vampire Hunters, any kind of series like Supernatural, anything like that. Love it. This book has nothing going on for it. Percy needs to just do anything, anything. Make it bloodier, make it sillier, make it more surreal. I don't know. But what's happening right now, really, this is just doing the absolute basics of box ticking of like, we have released a comic with Wolverine in it. That's like the only thing I can say for this issue. I'm sorry, folks, if you liked it. I mean, it's rare to get all four of us. And the thing is, here's where I guess I'll start us, just so it's not me diatribing, you know. There's been worse comic books in Krakoa and Age. We have read some of them together. It's not that it's like actively bad and that like offensive what is happening here way. It's just very, very low key. Like it really nothing sticks out. And I think that that's almost like a worse offense. Like even at least if it was like actively bad, if it was like campy, we'd be like, oh, that vampire was ridiculous. But like there are whole scenes in this book that I couldn't even tell you why there were scenes in this book. And that's the worst kind of book for me. I'd rather you swing hard and give us something to mock than to just do something that barely registers. I don't know. What is your opinion on that generally? Would you rather have something that's like dull down the middle or something that's so bad that it causes a reaction for you? Or Harry, go ahead, Harry. You're inspired.
Yeah.
Interesting failure. Always, always, always. This is the worst possible scenario of any book. We're going to post this video and the commenters are going to tell us this book never actually existed and we're all sharing a mass psychosis because this doesn't exist. We're in a dream. Okay, sorry, Fariha, go ahead.
No, I mean, my thing was that it's actually all out of sequence though, right? Because last issue was exciting because there was this other person showed up. I don't remember that person, but then there was this whole Maverick, and then there was this whole layer about how they helped each other during their Weapon Plus age. So I thought that that's where this is going, but no, this is taking a side direction. I wish the stories were overlapping. So then that would have been something, but it's not even that. And it's just like this vampire nation and he's going by himself doing that. To be honest, I just don't understand in a title that like X-Men, which has so many interesting characters. Why on earth Wolverine gets a solo every time? What about him? What about him that people like? He's short, he's stinky, he likes to spend time in sewer. He just inserts himself in every women's relationship without anything. He gets like, why is this? What? Okay, and even if you're going to do a Wolverine story, why is not about him trying to get Jean Grey to be the mother of his children? Make it about that. Make it about something like that will make me mad. Make it about that. That Jean Grey is like, oh, no. These are my children, Nathan, Rachel, and all them. Your kids are not mine, but I'm effing you. Make it about that. That's interesting. That's
I feel like it feels like a very manga take on Wolverine, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I'll take any take at this point beyond. No, I'm done. No, go on. I'm done.
Tyler.
Yeah, and then
Freak. No, I'm sorry, Freak.
I'm not done. Okay, the data pages were so offensive. By the way, well, yeah, those were offensive because Sage is writing all these things, and Wolverine's response to all of them: kill them, done them good,
peed on them. I'm like, look, Wolverine, if you're into water sports, like that is not something we need to know about.
Got some ways. And to be honest, here's also something I'm telling you. As of right now, every single media where there was a man pissing on something was bad. Every single one of them. You can
make the case.
Every single one of them. Go look at any of the movies or any of the comic book, any of the TV shows where there is a man pissing on something is a bad thing. It's a bad.
Didn't he piss in Wolverine's helmet or something too? Like, what is this weird
Magneto?
Yeah, Magneto's helmet. What's with this weird turn for the scatological and
that's the only way. That's the only way you can show someone is rough and tough. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's insane.
I didn't say that. That's how people do it.
This guy ain't cool. This guy ain't tough unless he's pissing on someone. Where is this coming from? I don't know what's going on anymore.
Sorry, Tyler, how did you feel about this?
I mean, coming back to the book.
But we were just talking about content from the book, which was
you guys did touch a little bit on certain things of the book, which really took me out of the story. Like, why did the council not do anything about the vampire nation if it is such a credible threat? Why is it only Wolverine? And why is Wolverine not bringing in his friends who are not mutants, like Avengers, like, people who are more suitable to kill vampires, like Blade. Yeah, for example.
Sunfire at
Yeah,
the top of my
it's
noggin.
like someone
sun.
who can do
Jubilee.
Black
And
Tom,
also-
who throws wooden
Yeah.
stuff all, grows plants.
and also
Mercury.
and also in this day and age, how could such significant numbers of death not be noticed by anyone? It's a small town somewhere, but
it's not like the friggin' Arctic. It's not like people don't check in on towns in
here's
the
the other
north.
thing. It's almost playing it as if it's a thing we should know from some other book that Wolverine's like intervening in, but it's not happening anywhere. Like part of the magic of the Marvel universe is like, show us the impact of this, like give us a hint somewhere else. And they actually just did vampires, a little scene of vampires in some other book. In
Avengers?
In King in Black #5, there was just a little scene of vampires, and yet it didn't help this at all. I think if it felt like we were seeing the ramifications of this elsewhere, since this vampire plot doesn't feel like it just belongs to X-Men, like it was started in Avengers, it's appeared briefly in King in Black, like it is other places. I think then it would hit better, but it's almost like Percy was given the wrong information about how important it would be other places. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to resolve some of this vampire plot happening around the Marvel universe, but there's no other book that reflects it. That's what it felt like to me at the beginning when Wolverine's like, I'm out to cure this vampire plague. I'm like, what vampire plague?
The reason I gasped, because I genuinely thought that's what's going on. That's why I was mad that this is another stupid crossover that's happening, and I don't know any information about it.
But doesn't it kind of feel like that though? Like it's telling you that that's what is happening.
And then also they are in Krakoan now, so they're a nation operating out of operating in United States without any as an agent of another nation.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to talk about that?
No, that's the thing.
Punt it back to Avengers. Stop it.
I know. No, that's really weird. And then like halfway through, Beast was being Beast. He was being pretty smug about his like double deception working, and then there's this panel of Wolverine like holding Beast's face.
Yeah,
and I was
so
like,
weird.
What
so
happened?
weird. Like a parent scolding their child.
Yeah,
pinching the little cheek.
He like full on pinches his cheek, and I know it's supposed to parallel Dracula having like a tender romantic moment with Omega Red, but then it's Wolverine pinching Beast's cheek. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. And he's also here, talk about like Eden kind of failing on the brief art-wise. If you look at the way that scene is laid out, it's that Beast is drinking coffee and that Wolverine is like, or tea probably, because and Wolverine is like interrupting him from that, and you can see in the corner of the panel that the teacup has fallen out, but he's paddled it in such a way that it almost just like it looks like an art error. And like if it was that he was meant to like knock the tea out of his hands or like shake him, like that was lost. So instead it just comes off totally ridiculous, which is it's everybody's fault. It's Percy's fault for scripting it that way. It's Eden's fault for drawing it that way.
Also, not to mention that given the size difference, he would have to go like this.
Yeah.
Beast is not short. He's a tall.
Beast could be like just
he
like
could be
squatting.
and then Wolverine walks up to him at eye level because Beast is on his side.
I absolutely loved that he was drinking tea, because that's a sign of evil, drinking tea. So this is Dark Beast, right? I mean, anyway. But the thing is, like, and then the next scene, it just falls, and he's like completely shocked that it happened to him, because other than Brand, nobody ever done that to him. So he's like very upset about that. But the thing is, like, it just, I don't know.
All right.
I really like that. But
speaking of that scene, let me try to connect this to a little kernel of plot for the few people that have made it this far into our diatribe. Omega Red. In X-Force, I want to say, not in Wolverine, they decided that they were going to plant this trackable carbonadian synthesizer in Omega Red. Let him think he had resurrected just fine, or even not been resurrected.
Not been resurrected.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know he's been resurrected.
And then send him back to Dracula, who and it seems like that's going off without a hitch here. Yeah. So they are going to know that Dracula's in Russia, but Dracula also is not dumb. And he kind of can sense that he can now use Omega Red to double cross the mutants. So he's like, why don't you go back and offer the mutants something that they want? Russia, which connects to the plot of X-Force because and part of Brazan's New Mutants, because the mutants have been having a lot of conflicts with Russia and trying to get mutants out of Russia and have gates established in Russia. So there is
Marauders too.
And Marauders. So there is one big plot element here that does connect to our other books, which is that did Omega Red actually fool Dracula? Not intentionally. And what is Dracula going to go back with as a counteroffer that makes it worthwhile to hand Dracula Wolverine?
Okay.
Wow.
Like, sure.
A lot of inspiration on the panel in this one.
Yeah.
I know. Really striking.
I mean, there's no idea. There's the plot is such that it tells you that this is going to happen, and it stops there. And then we switch to the scene with Louise, which is again, why does Wolverine look for Louise, who appears with him only once, where they were both defeated in the catacombs of Paris, and no one else. Like, I don't understand that part as well, and I don't understand how the vampire works in Marvel Universe right now, because she's like, "Oh, I'm not fully turned yet. I'm just halfway there."
She's not turned enough.
Yeah, so I don't understand that part too.
That's a vampire trope, though. That happens in a lot of different vampire thing. That half turn
thing.
Yeah,
I might be just speaking for me, but like if this book was interesting or entertaining, I wouldn't care about all of these little points, Tyler, that you're making. They're all absolutely true, but because there's nothing else to latch onto, I'm just like, why don't you get a friggin' sun mutant to burn out all the vampires and get this over with? Yeah. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It makes no friggin' sense.
So it's just like, so these are the things that constantly brings me out of the story, and I'm like, okay, wait, why is this happening? Oh, okay, wait, what, why? And so it doesn't make sense.
I think the problem is the out of sequence. If this was being told when it was being told before, I think it was before X of Swords, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think we would have cared more, because it's being told out of sequence, and it's like, we have moved on from it. We have started thinking about Maverick and Wolverine and all of that.
We were so young.
We were so young, and then this is why it's not making sense anymore.
But it's supposed to be not running parallel. Like, the Wolverine story is supposed to happen somewhere in between those two. That break.
Really? I did not get that.
You think so?
I think so, because remember the very last issue of X-Force, where we had that coffee breath scene. He says like, "Oh, I need to hunt vampire."
Right, so it's happening now ish.
Yeah.
So it's not out of sequence. It's in sequence.
So because Jean said that, "Oh, you're drinking coffee now, can you sleep?" And he's like, "Well, no, I need to hunt vampires." Like, and
here it is.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, and here it is.
No, but that's X-Force though. That's fine. That's X-Force. That can happen in a different time. This is like
you're literally saying
story.
We had Wolverine issues, then we skipped to Maverick, now we're skipping back to vampires.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, look, because there's a proud tradition in X-Men comics that people can follow subplots, but the asterisk on that is subplots which are interesting. Like, it's like, I don't think anybody was waiting for the vampire subplot to come back, and it just keeps happening. I don't know. Sound off in the comments if you're, if you, and tweet us and all that if this is really interesting to you. I don't think we're ever here, and I want to make this clear, because this has been a thing that I've been encountering a lot this week in other communities. We are not here to tell you you're bad or wrong or dumb if you like a comic that we didn't like. Fariha might be, but that's not the position of this program. We're for people who
the X-Men.
We are for people who enjoy reading comic books together, and it just so happens that because we have similar tastes and we hang out with each other a lot, that we're that we come to an issue sometimes like this one, which all four of us are just against. If you love Wolverine, we still like you. Like, you can like this issue. We want to hear why you like this issue. That's still important to us. I just I know this is like off the top of the issue, but I'm just encountering too much, especially in X-Men communities, that should know better. That if you don't like their favorite character, if you don't like their favorite book, or if you're not digging the writer they like, or the opposite, say you're liking something and they've decided it's kind of out already, that you're not cool. You can't be part of that crowd. They don't want you. We don't play that game here. Everybody can critically read the comic book that they want to critically read and enjoy it. So like when we say sound off if you liked Wolverine, I genuinely mean that. If you're one of the people out there that's like, this is the best Wolverine comic I've read in years, tell us about that. And we do not have any hard feelings about that. But I just want to make it really unambiguous that like you can like the comics that you like, and anybody who's got a show or a community or a Discord or is on Twitter telling you that you're wrong because you don't like the things that they approved, they're not a good comic book fan. And I feel that real darn strongly. And I feel it the strongest when there's something I don't like, because I'm not out there slapping this comic out of people's hands who are trying to enjoy it. If you enjoy this, I'm happy for you.
We want to like stuff. I think we often do. And if you like this, please tell us why, because it would make me feel better. I'd start dreaming again. It'd be great.
So look, I think...
Here's the thing.
Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Next issue is still the vampire story.
You're kidding. There's no way. You are kidding me.
But I love vampires. Like this is, it could be so cool. Like show me, I know that we're building this thing where like the vampires are trying to franchise but they're having trouble with the sun, and they've decided, we've had Wolverine's blood before. If we could just have Wolverine's blood or one of his many bodies that I'm sure have been left behind in X-Force, like we could flourish. And like that by itself is an interesting plot. But then we get to the end of this issue and there's this scene of like Dracula in a lab or something. I've never been so bored by Dracula on a panel anywhere in my entire life.
This is a pro-Dracula show, to be clear.
Pro-Dracula. I have a Dracula guide. I love Dracula. and he's like, stop experimenting on weak vampires, make stronger vampires. I'm like, why? What is the point? Just get me there.
More vampires. That's like the rule number 2 of the nation.
I am so primed to be rooting for the vampires. It's really easy to get me on the vampire side. And the fact that I'm not like rooting for Dracula a little bit says to me that there are problems. That's what I'm saying. It's just so easy to get me excited about vampires. Okay. So I am that guy.
Right. So, okay, before we I think we are winding down here, but before we go there, one question I have. In here, it shows that the mosquito is killed, but then it drinks Wolverine's blood, so it can come back to life.
No, it does not.
No, that's
because
not how
it has been established that Wolverine's blood doesn't have that property outside of him. It degenerates.
Yeah, Wolverine's blood is not a mutant. Wolverine's blood might have some regenerative properties in the same way that old people are getting transfusions from young people like Harry, that they just want to suck his blood so that they can stay young forever. But Wolverine's blood itself is not a mutant, although that is somewhat contradicted by the whole he can regenerate from one drop of blood thing that has been done before. But as we know in House of X and Powers of X, in The Secret Life number 6 of Moira McTaggart, he was keeping Moira alive with blood transfusions. So his blood does have restorative properties. But can that blood, once ingested by a mosquito, heal the mosquito back to normal, making that mosquito a secret mutant? No, I don't think that's a vampire.
It's a vampire mosquito. It came back to life.
So it's a vampire mosquito.
He snaps it.
I know what you mean. It's not.
Is it?
But he killed it.
No.
I think all mosquitoes are vampires, though.
No, I
but
know
it
what
came
you mean.
back to life. It regenerated. I'm looking at the.
I don't. I mean,
I have it up too.
My read of the scene was more like there are like 2 mosquitoes. He killed one, and then there was another one.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but that was my read, and I think the 2 of you read. I mean, your read is actually very valid too. Is that supposed to mean something?
Thanks, buddy. Panel 1 is slapping mosquito. Panel 2 is dead mosquito. Panel 3 is new mosquito.
Yeah, it's clearly his hand.
Is it a new mosquito?
In the same
No,
place.
it's not a new mosquito.
It's the same mosquito, Tyler.
So, okay, so if this is the same mosquito.
Answer the question.
So, hold on. If this is the same mosquito, why on earth mutants have not been using this all these times?
It's a vampire mosquito.
It's a messy comic book. That's why, folks. It's a comic book that's confused about what it is, what its character is about, and the story that it's telling. And that is why we're this hung up on the small details like cheek pinching and undead mosquitoes.
Little bit of actual weird criticism. I just want to say real quick. I don't know why. It's just like the way this book approaches this whole vampire thing. Like Omega Red says, "Take me to Dracul," which is like the very formal like way of saying that. It's like such like a not fun kind of like serious way of talking about Dracula, and it sucks. And that was my point. You were saying, Fariha.
I think we're done, y'all. I
We
think
can talk about
I think it's the
mosquitoes
end.
more if you
Yeah.
want.
The last thing I just wanted to say is like this is a regression for Wolverine. I mean, this is not who he is anymore.
I
And
have been
this
saying
me
that
saying
for
that.
many issues. I have been saying that for many issues.
I
I would
know,
pay-
but the thing is like that's more for you're talking more in terms of like I'm not talking about in terms of what kind of tour the adventure he goes to. It's like the way he talks.
Yes.
That's like that's a regression for him.
I would
No,
pay
that's-
money for a scene where Wolverine comes back home to the moon and Scott and Jean are like, so you like pissing on dead guys now? Is that what you're up to? Like,
out of
what's
our
that
house.
about, man? Get out of our house, you freak.
No, but that's what I've been saying. Like ever since X of Swords, Wolverine's voice has been off, like way
It's
off.
shocking. It really is.
It's being shifted off. If you read X Force before and the Wolverine issues that came out before X of Swords, it's actually quite okay. But when you read it after that, it was like way off.
It's Saturdyne, guys. She done it.
Blame her.
Well, that's all that we have to say about Wolverine number 11. If you stuck with us for this whole conversation, congratulations. We also talk about this week's other X-Men book, Children of the Atom, elsewhere on this channel, so be on the lookout for that. And we get together every week to talk about the books if they're good, or if they're bad, or if they're really, really bland. And why do we get together and do that, Fariha?
Because X-Men is better when it's good read together.
That's
I'm
right.
not doing it this week.
No, but here's the thing. It is better when it's read together because we
It
all
is.
get to have and share our opinions. And that includes all of you who are listening. So we are not the be all and end all of this conversation. We want to hear your opinions too. Help us find the parts of this issue that maybe we missed. Because if we were a little bit bored or distracted, we missed something that was plot significant. You might have noticed. So we are not the experts. We are just four friends that get together to go over what's happening this week in X. And until we see you next time on This Week in X, we want you all to be well. And we look forward to talking to you again.
Bye.